Gloomhaven was the smash hit board game by Cephalofair Games. Is that how you say it? Cephalofair. Yeah. And is by most people considered to be the best game of all time. But it's a bit big, it's a bit heavy, and it's a bit pricey to get into if you're new to this kind of game. With the hotly anticipated Frosthaven coming later this year, sandwiched in between those is the little baby Jaws of the Lion. It's a prequel to the original game and is much smaller in both scope and size and price. Really is a great way of getting into this kind of game, and it really is everything in the box that you need. It's basically D&D in a box. But here at the Game Chamber, we are big believers in always being room for improvement. So here's 5 ways you can glow up your Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion is a prequel to the original Gloomhaven. It uses a similar system. It's essentially a full RPG in a box without the need for a dungeon master. Everyone at the table is playing a playable character. There's loads of quest lines to follow and characters and locations to unlock as you play, but it's much smaller and therefore much cheaper with less components for a shorter game than the original Gloomhaven. Well, if you're interested in getting started in the Gloomhaven universe, but you find the $150 price tag for the original a little off-putting, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion is most definitely for you. The original Gloomhaven is listed as the best board game of all time, and this prequel Jaws of the Lion does not disappoint, but there's always little space for tweaks and making the game really individual to yourself. So here's 5 ways you can do just that. Firstly, you can paint your player miniatures. Pretty much all of the cardboard in the game comes fully coloured, obviously, but the miniatures just come as grey plastic. They look great, there's loads of detail on them, but we really want to get those ones painted up. Get them primed up with some spray and get some model paints on there to have them looking as good as the pictures do on their character cards. If you're not already a miniature painter, you can get started pretty easily. Dollar store craft paint will work, but it's a little thick. The pigment's quite heavy in them. You'd be much better off buying specific paint for painting miniatures. We recommend the Army Painter range or the Vallejo range. Army Painter especially do a starter set which features 8 colours, a strong tone wash which is used for bringing out some of the detail in the model, and also a silver metallic paint too, and a brush. Great way to get started in the hobby and to paint up the miniatures of Gloomhaven, but be careful, it is quite addictive. To go along with your freshly painted player miniatures, you want to get some monster miniatures to match. Gloomhaven features a range of monsters, and the base game comes with them printed onto thick card that clips into little holders to stand them up. And whilst the artwork on them is fantastic, an actual physical model that your little creatures can go and attack would be awesome. If you have a 3D printer, Thingiverse is a great resource for free STL files that you can print yourself. I've linked to some of these in the description, but there's some great looking models that you can use for the living bones, the bandit archers, giant vipers, cultists, and more. And if you don't own a 3D printer or have access to one through a friend, you can always grab some miniatures from a company such as WizKid. WizKids creates a huge selection of unpainted miniatures for use in tabletop RPGs such as Dungeons and Dragons. And again, there are loads of proxies that you can use to fit the creatures of Gloomhaven, such as the living bones. Here's a great one for the bandit archers, and how about these for black and forest imps? Again, I'll put links in the description to some of them. So the table is set, your awesome new creatures and characters are painted and ready to go. How about something to set the mood? A little bit of background music can really set the mood. Mellow Dice is an awesome free website where people can collect and catalogue songs that work perfectly for certain board games. You can go on, type in the game you're playing into the search, and it will come up with a YouTube playlist full of songs that fit the theme. Most of the songs are pulled from other fantasy and RPG creations such as Fable, Diablo, Skyrim, Dungeons and Dragons, The Witcher, and many others. But here, for instance, the Gloomhaven playlist is 12 hours long, which might not be enough for a full game of Gloomhaven actually, but it should get you through Jaws of the Lion, no problems. With the music playing, it's time to dive into the game. Some of us who are fans of RPG tabletop games are lucky enough to have a fantastic DM or dungeon master who's able to put on player voices and NPC voices and really get you immersed in the story. But with something like Jaws of the Lion, you don't have a DM, and although you might want to play the game and enjoy it, Nobody really wants to take on the role of the narrator when you're moving into new scenarios or what have you. Luckily, Foreteller are here to pick up the slack.
The road back to Gloomhaven has been long, and now, to get attacked by vermlings when all you want is a warm meal and a soft bed.
They produce awesome professional quality audio tracks that you can play along with the game. There's player introductions, scenario introductions, there's full effects tracks in the background, and they use professional voice actors as well. They sound amazing, and just for a few dollars, they can really add a whole new layer of immersion. And finally, we've saved the best till last, the Gloomhaven Helper Companion app. This officially sponsored app is there to help keep track of all the things monster related and board states, such as the element infusion board, the rounds, even player HP and XP if you wanted to. It's very handy, you don't have to clear a bunch of table space to have all your cards and forms laid out, and it lets you focus on your own character without forgetting to clear elements and other such things. It even syncs over a local network so you and everyone else at the table can see the monster and board states from each of your devices, and just taking a look at the reviews on the App Store, people are saying that they wouldn't play Gloomhaven without it, and I completely agree. It was originally designed for the original game, but there has been an update that includes all the resources for Jaws of the Lion, and it's available on both the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. So there you go, 5 ways to glow up your Gloomhaven. If there's any we've missed or other things that you can think of that really make the most of this awesome game, please let us know in the comments. Thanks very much for watching, hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give us a like, it really does help, and don't forget to subscribe for loads more board game, tabletop and miniature stuff here at the Game Chamber.